This table lists prefixes that are used in the metric system. What kind of root word, if you will, a root word or a base word, do these prefixes come before? What's the word that goes with them? Liter. You can put them before liter, right? Megaliter, kiloliter, deciliter, centiliter, milliliter. So liter's a root word. What else? Meter. Gram. Bytes, right? Moles. Seconds. Hertz. All those root words. These prefixes can tag any of those root words. Now, can y'all see the correlation between the table that I'm showing here and the one in your book on page 9? Okay, they're very similar, and they actually, I think, list all the exact same prefixes. Yeah. If we look at this table, right here at this point in the table where I'm drawing the line, there's a division. What is that division? Do you see it? Yeah, if we look at the value, if we look at where that root word puts the decimal, it changes. So what I like to say is where I drew that line, that's where the root word comes. For example, if we were working with meter, the root word would be right there, meter. Anything above that, if I said kilometer, that's bigger than a meter. Megameter, that's bigger. Gigameter is bigger, etc. Anything below that line, deci, centi, millimicro, those are all a portion of a meter. Or if it were liter, those are always a portion of, etc. So when we're converting from one prefix to a root word or from one prefix to another prefix, the number is not going to change. What's going to change is the placement of our decimal. Agreed? So let's work on converting between these units. Let's say the length of a room is 6.3 times 10 to the 9 centimeters. 6.3 times 10 to the 9 centimeters, which, in centimeters, is that a unit you're going to use to measure the length of a room? No, you wouldn't use a centimeter to measure a room length. What might you use? Meters. So let's say somebody went and measured it in centimeters, and that's not what I need. I need that unit in meters. Do y'all know how to go? This is actually a really big room. How do you go from centimeters to meters? How do you know to move the decimal 2 places? Right. Let me go back. We're going from centimeter to meter. And if I go to this table, I see centimeter means 10 to the minus 2, right? And I'm moving it to meter. And y'all, since meter falls on this line, then meter essentially means 10 to the 0. Okay? So to go from 10 to the minus 2 to 10 to the 0, do you see that's 2 decimal places? Okay, that's just telling how far apart they are here. So I have to move it 2 decimal places. Now, my next question is, do I go 2 decimal places left, or do I go 2 decimal places right to go from centimeter to meter? How do you know that I have to go left?
Because it's going to get smaller because the meter is larger.
Yes. If I'm going from centimeter to meter, then I'm going from smaller to larger on the table. Agreed? The way this table is laid out, if I'm moving from the bottom to the top, I'm always going smaller to larger. So since I'm going smaller to larger, that means I'm going to move the decimal left. But if I look at the number that I'm working with here, 6.3 times 10 to the 9, instead of actually moving this decimal between the 6 and the 3 left, I'm going to show the decimal moving by changing the exponent, right? I'm going to change the 9. So the 9 has got to change by 2 places. It's either going to become 11 or the 9 is going to become 7. Which one's it going to be? It's going to be 7. Because if I'm going smaller to larger, I move the decimal left, or I would say that I subtract. What do I subtract?
The exponent.
Yes, in this case, I say the 9 that I have minus the 2, and I come up with 7. So my answer is 6.3 times 10 to the 7 meters. Remind me, how did I come up with this 2? To come up with the 2, I looked at centimeter to meter, right? I have to consider the unit that I'm coming from and where I'm going to. And I considered the centimeter to meter on this number line, and that told me how many places I have to move. That's where I come up with the 2. How did I know that it was smaller to larger? I looked at the table, and if I'm going from the bottom to the top, it's smaller to larger. If I'm going the other way, top to bottom, it's larger to smaller. Okay? Smaller to larger is always move left, subtract. What would larger to smaller look like?
Move right and add to the exponent.
Right. If it was larger to smaller, then those statements would say move right and add. And you just have to know those and be comfortable with those statements and how they apply to different units. Okay, so let's work another one. Let's take that 6.3 times 10 to the 7. Can I change slides? We good? And let's convert that to kilometers. I'm in meters. And I want to convert it to kilometers. Meter to kilometer. First thing we do, look at your table that you're looking at in your book. I've got it up here. Where's meter? Meter's the black line. Kilometer, it's right there, 10 to the third. What did I say? I said meter essentially means 10 to the 0, right? So to get from 10 to the 0 to 10 to the 3, I've got to move it 3 places. Does everybody see how I'm coming up with that number? Because that's important. I've got to go 3 places. Now, am I going, since I'm going from meter to kilometer, I'm going from small to large. Agreed? And we said that small to large means move left or subtract. What do I subtract in this case? Tell me the exact numbers I subtract.
7 minus 4.
I say 7 right here minus 3. That's the number I came up with for my places to move. And then it's easy, right? 7 minus 3 is 4. So 6.3 times 10 to the 4 kilometers.